Baseball, like many old American institutions, is an old boys club. It's insular, bound by tradition, and very much set in its ways. The MLB will always appeal to its hardcore fan base. For those who follow their team 162 games out of the year, baseball needs no adjusting, no tinkering, and no upheaval. I'm talking about the guys that keep score themselves and know what X-FIP stands for.
Look, 5 points. X-FIP is easy. FIP stands for Fielding Independent Pitching, so boil down the pitcher performance to the 3 true outcomes, which are walks allowed, homers allowed.
Okay, that's enough. But the hardcore fans only make up a small percentage of the broader market. In order to cast a wide net and draw in sports fans that are drifting further towards the NFL, NHL, and NBA, some changes need to be made to make the MLB more accessible and more fan-friendly. Today I'm going to share with you how we can restore baseball to its former glory with the help of fellow YouTuber Foolish Baseball. And that's coming up right after this. Sara Watches are relentless in their pursuit of victory and uncompromising when it comes to quality. If you are out here to show people you are winning, you need a watch from Sara. Sara Watches are handmade, high quality, and they are fairly priced. Look like $1 million, but only pay for the luxury you deserve. They even make me look stylish. They put an end to those cookie-cutter watch designs. Sara's watches have a distinct look and feel and will get more than just itself noticed. Hey ladies, right here I'm rocking a blue Kairos, and let me tell you, Sara delivers on their promises. The weight and the feel is amazing. The quality's superb. You can feel the craftsmanship. And here's the secret: because Sara sells directly to you, get this bad boy for 1/10 of the cost of other retailers. So after this video, go to the link below and plug in my code 5points at checkout and save even more, 15% off right back into your pocket. Again, that's code 5points from the link below for 15% off your first order. Sara, luxury watches, handcrafted, fair prices. So we're fixing the MLB. Sounds difficult, but with a few tweaks, baseball can go back to being America's pastime instead of America's melatonin. Rob Manfred, if you're listening, and I know you are, feel free to take notes. Number 1, internet video rights. The MLB has long wondered why they have such a difficult time marketing their star players. Well, maybe it would help if we could open Twitter on our phones and see what these stars are doing. The robbed home runs from Mike Trout, the blast from Aaron Judge, the diving stops by Nolan Arenado. Unless you're watching TV, odds are you won't see many of the best plays baseball has to offer. In an effort to redirect clicks back to their own accounts, the MLB has instituted a draconian social media policy when it comes to sharing their on-field product. No GIFs, videos, anything, unless it's coming from an MLB-sanctioned source. Try to slip in a quick video and you might get your account suspended by the MLB, which cites the DMCA to get its point across. The MLB might save a few bucks in the short term, but in doing so, they're killing their appeal to a younger fan base that uses Twitter and Instagram for their sports news and updates. Lift the social media embargo, and the MLB has an instant inroad with younger sports fans that they never should have given up. Not to mention, I could be using some real highlights in this video right now. By the way, maybe Mike Trout just isn't very interesting, and that might not be the MLB's fault.
You know, I can only speak for myself, but I gotta say that obtaining the express written consent of Major League Baseball isn't as hard as you think. You just have to know the right people. And perhaps more importantly, have an embarrassing photo of Rob Manfred from that Christmas party. Yeah, you know which one I'm talking about, Rob.
Number 2, market minor leaguers. Unlike the NFL and NBA, the MLB draft doesn't have enough appeal to command a primetime slot on a major network. Nope. The MLB's 40-round draft comes and goes with so little attention that most fans don't even know who their team ended up with. So then, by the time these draftees are developed and ready for the show, if they ever are, we rarely know who they are aside from the Bryce Harpers or Chris Bryants of the world. The solution? Give them more exposure when they're down in the minors. Fans may not care about a prospect that's 4 years away, but if there's a future star playing in AA ball and ready to join the club soon, give them exposure so that when they get called up, there's anticipation surrounding their debut. Who wouldn't want to watch the live cutaways, highlights, or even a full game on MLB Network from a head-to-head matchup between Vlad Guerrero Jr. and another top prospect on the verge of reaching the bigs? Every sports fan in America knew who LeBron James was by his sophomore year of high school. It's not too tall of an order to give fans a better idea of who the future faces of the sport are going to be.
This goes hand in hand with proper marketing, but ball clubs need to do a better job of taking care of their minor leaguers in general. If you aren't an early round draft pick or a highly sought after international amateur, you don't have the luxury of a fat signing bonus. Minor leaguers get next to nothing for what is essentially a seasonal job, as they won't get paid during the offseason. This goes beyond dollars and cents too. Take a look at MLB first-round draft pick and Heisman Trophy winner, Kyler Murray. By choosing football, his worst-case scenario next year is sitting on a nice cushy bench, holding that clipboard, taking chartered flights with the rest of the crew, and enjoying his time in a lovely US city, maybe even New York. If he were to choose baseball, however, he'd be bussing it from ransack junction to ransack junction for the next 2 years before he even sniffs the big leagues, and that's if he's lucky. No thanks. Say what you want about Kyler Murray's chances at long-term football success and the NFL's alarming concussion rates, but eating at the Applebee's in Provo, Utah after a 10-hour bus ride with no AC is its own form of brain damage. The point is this: if teams made the minor league experience more bearable, maybe great athletes like Kyler Murray would be willing to choose baseball over other sports.
Number 3, Hard Knock style access. Thanks to HBO's cameras, NFL fans feel like they know the ins and outs of a training camp in the NFL. That's not the case in the MLB. Most of the processes are unknown to the casual fan. We've never seen someone get called up, sent down, taught a new pitch, or break in a new glove. It doesn't sound like much, but it's the details and idiosyncrasies that endear us to teams and to players. The MLB used to have a show that was comparable in style to Hard Knocks called The Franchise, which aired on Showtime once a week throughout the season. It only lasted a couple of seasons, one with the 2011 Giants and another with the 2012 Marlins, but its biggest hiccup was following two teams that missed the playoffs, so by the middle of the season, the tension of a playoff race was off the table. Higher ups at Showtime said back in 2013 that the series might return with the right team and the right story, but maybe they should focus on the run-up to the season and cover spring training in the same way that Hard Knocks covers training camp. That way, we get to see the same storylines people love from everyone's favorite sports series. The young guys, the long shots, the tough decisions, the potential. Plus, wouldn't you want to watch 2019 spring training with the Mets to see how Tim Tebow fits in with the major leaguers, or to see free agents adjust to a new team on the fly wherever they end up? There's plenty of content to be mined if only the MLB gives it a shot. Number 4, 3-batter minimum. The MLB has taken a serious interest or concern in speeding up the game. But a quick look at game lengths show that the average game in 2018 lasted 3 hours and 4 minutes, 9 minutes longer than it took to complete a contest 10 years earlier in 2008. And judging by attendance, which has dropped by roughly 1,000 people per game in that same stretch, fans have been noticing. There have been a lot of ideas on how to combat length, a pitch clock, limited mound visits, but it doesn't seem like anything has put a big dent in game time. Mets GM Sandy Alderson posited this thought about speeding up the game, telling the New York Post in 2017, "I would require a pitcher to throw to 3 hitters. 1, it would speed up the game. 2, and more important, it would change the dynamics of the game in the late innings." Today, we have too few lead changes late in games, in part due to the dominance and specialization of relievers. One way to offset dominance is changing the dynamics a little bit, as we see occur when things get out of balance in other sports all the time. Alderson may be onto something. Per the Wall Street Journal, 6.5 minutes of game time are spent on mid-inning pitching changes. That's too much downtime for something that doesn't directly advance the game. We know the MLB won't want to cut out commercials that pay the bills, so the league has to get creative in trying to move things along. Installing a 3-batter minimum is a good way to make sure it doesn't take a 3-drink minimum to sit through these games.
Improving the pace of play in baseball is a huge conversation topic, and while I definitely want to keep things moving along quicker, the 3-batter minimum isn't something I can stand behind. I mean, who doesn't love their team's specialty relief pitcher? You know, that funky lefty who only exists to get 1 out per game? He probably wears wonky glasses and has a weirder delivery than the guy bringing my Uber Eats order. It's not all for me, I swear. Anyways, we can't threaten that guy's job by suggesting he get other batters out. That's discrimination, baby. As far as pace of play, there are 2 other policies that I believe would get the job done: a pitch clock and further limiting mound visits. Introducing a pitch clock to the MLB would be easier than you think. It is already used throughout the minor leagues, as well as in various independent ball and college leagues. A 20-second pitch clock, even if it's just for when the bases are empty, would definitely keep things moving at an orderly pace. There's a lot of lollygagging between pitches.
You lollygag your way down to first.
And that's not just an indictment on pitchers either. Look, I only have so many years on this earth. I don't want to spend too many of them watching a utility infielder adjust his jockstrap for the third time on a 2-2 count. Just get in the batter's box.
We're waiting.
2018 was the first year with limited mound visits, and you know what? The average time of a 9-inning game fell about 5 minutes from the 2017 average. I say keep it up. Managers have 6 visits per 9 innings at the moment. Why not cut that down to 4, or even 3? I like it because it forces managers to make tough decisions. Should I really try to calm down my struggling pitcher, even though it's only the first inning? In a baseball landscape where managers are seen as marionettes being controlled by a legion of front office puppeteers, anything that puts the manager in a spot where they can blow the big game is a positive. I say we make them sweat a little.
Number 5, 1 batting order, switch per game. Alright, this one will probably piss off your grandpa or anyone that's been watching baseball for over 40 years, but here's an idea to spice up the offensive strategy in baseball. Once and only once a game, a manager can make a strategic switch in the batting order to send whichever batter he wants to the plate. For example, if the Giants are down 1 run with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th, they can switch out Brandon Crawford for Buster Posey if they haven't done so already. Whenever the switch is used, those 2 players will switch spots in the batting order for the rest of the game. It's a compelling strategic trump card to show whether managers think the game hinges on high leverage spots in the early to middle innings or if it always comes down to the last couple frames. Either way, it gives the offense an answer to the specialization and flexibility that's caused pitching to dominate late and close games and keeps viewers tuned in until the last out. Think of the drama this could cause in the postseason, a manager making a controversial decision or a star hitter coming up short in a big spot is exactly the type of story First Take or Undisputed will riff on for hours at a time, although it's probably fair to be skeptical of Stephen A. Smith's baseball acumen at this point.
I just find him to be more of a runner than a thrower.
Again, if you suggest this or really any of these ideas to anyone that was around for the shot heard around the world back in 1951, they'll probably beat you over the head with their cane. But the future of the sport depends on the young, not the old. Eventually, the aforementioned boys club is going to die off and be replaced with a newer generation. And the idea is to give them a product that can compete with sports like football and basketball that are far less resistant to change, something that's almost always for the better. At its core, baseball is and always will be the sport America fell in love with during the 20th century. But like David Chappelle once pontificated, modern problems require modern solutions. And baseball could use a bit of modernization to stay relevant. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please do not forget to subscribe to Foolish Baseball. His channel will be linked down below. And don't forget to check out Sara Watches. I'm 5 Points Vids, and you made it to the end of this video.